Hello, it's Connor here, and today I'm going to be discussing the recent Nintendo Direct that just came out. I haven't written a script for this video, I just have some bullet points, and I'm just going to be going through the different announcements, the stuff that interested me, and just my thoughts on the presentation as a whole. So the Direct opens with a trailer for Fire Emblem Engage, the next mainline Fire Emblem game, and it looks pretty interesting. I'm a big Fire Emblem fan myself. Three Houses is my favourite Switch game, and they seem to be going in a very different direction with this entry. The main mechanic here seems to be that you can summon lords from the previous games and merge them with the new characters through a ring system. It reminded me a bit of the DLC packs you could get in Fire Emblem Awakening, where you could recruit the former lords to your roster. Could end up being a bit fan servicey. I hope it doesn't impact the story negatively in that sense. But just on paper, it's a pretty cool concept. Another very noticeable difference is from Three Houses. It has a much more vibrant color palette. That game visually can be quite drab at times. This one is a lot more colorful, and the visuals and UI have also been updated, which is quite nice. Don't know how to feel about the main character design. The split red and blue hair. It's definitely a choice. It's gonna take some time to get used to that. I don't hate it, but it's distinctive. We'll put it that way. My main hope is that the main character actually has a personality. I think there's been a trend in the previous Fire Emblem games of the modern era because those characters can be customizable. They're kind of blank slates for the player to impose their own personality onto them, and thus they don't really have any traits of their own. They seem to fix that a bit in Fire Emblem Three Hopes, especially because Shez was a really likable protagonist in that game and had distinctive characteristics. So I really hope they carry that forward into this game. Another thing I noticed as well is that it seems to have a town building mechanic, where you can seemingly expand facilities as you recruit more and more people to your army. A bit like, again, in Three Hopes or the monastery in Three Houses. Those were some of the best parts of those games, the stuff you could do outside of battle. So I really hope that something along those lines is retained or even improved on for this entry, because to not include it would be a major step back for the series, in my opinion. And the last major takeaway here is it releases very soon. It's 20th of January, so we don't have long to wait. So after that, we got our first batch of headlines. The highlights for me, I really like the look of Tunic. It looks adorable. SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake looks a lot of fun as well. We also got a trailer for a Story of Seasons remake, and this began the onslaught of farming simulators in this direct. And I'm sure they're all good games, but when you see so many games back to back to back that all use the same mechanics and style, they all start to blend into one. And it was really frustrating towards the latter half of the direct when you're looking for new announcements, and it was yet another farming sim. I think that's one thing that probably hurt the direct overall. I think the amount of games that looked so similar to each other really hurt its pacing. The next thing up was the next Splatfest for Splatoon 3. If you're on a deserted island, what would you bring? Gear, grub, or fun? I don't know what I'm going to go for because there isn't an obvious winner there. That seems very dependent on the island. I think I'm going to go with whatever big man picks because that's how I make decisions now. I like the demo Splatfest, the rock paper scissors one, but it's very clear that they need to find a way to balance the three team Splatfests because whatever team is winning at the halfway point just gets destroyed in the second half because of the way it's structured. So hopefully that gets addressed going forward. The next big reveal was that of Octopath Traveler 2. I've only played the demo for the first game, but I really enjoyed what I played. This one has a whole new cast of characters, and they emphasise that the stories in this one will intersect more than in the first one. So I might just jump straight into the series with this entry. I really love the HD 2D style that Square Enix have been using for all of their Switch RPGs, and I really hope they keep using it because it looks really cool. We then got another look at Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Didn't get a ton of new information here, but the game does look quite interesting. Big difference with this one is the lack of a grid system for the battles, that it's completely free roam. Very interested to try that out. I still don't know why Yoshi got culled, considering he's in the first game and there's no sign of him here now. Maybe he went on the run after committing tax fraud. Who's to say? Moving on, we then got the next batch of N64 games heading to Nintendo Switch Online. We're getting Mario Party 1, 2 and 3, 1080 Snowboarding, Excite Bike, Pilot Wings, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, and GoldenEye. And the big news with GoldenEye is that it's coming with online play, which I am very much looking forward to trying out. GoldenEye is one of the few N64 games that I've actually played, because one time in school, a friend of mine found a USB lying around in one of the engineering classrooms, plugged it in and found an N64 emulator with a ROM for GoldenEye 007. He then gave it to me and we would just play that game in free classes. So yeah, really looking forward to playing that by, official means. Don't send the Nintendo ninjas after me, please. Next up was an update to Mario Strikers Battle League. We're getting Diddy Kong and Pauline plus new gear and arenas. I guess that's cool, but that should all be in the game at launch. Strikers launched with a ridiculously small roster. It seemed pretty unfinished and lacking in content, and I really wish Nintendo would stop doing this, especially with their sports titles. They seem to really suffer from it. Because not long after this, we then got the Switch Sports Golf Battle Royale update that has now since been delayed to winter, and there doesn't seem to be any signs of them adding more sports beyond golf. So this 2022 entry in the series has 5 less sports than the entry that came out in 2009. That's not good. It's really frustrating because the core gameplay of these Nintendo sports titles and Battle League and Aces and Golf World Tour are fun, but if there's nothing to do in these games, then you're not going to keep coming back to them. I don't know if Nintendo thinks that by spreading out the content that they will retain people, but if there's so little stuff to do at launch, then people are just going to immediately lose interest and then they've checked out by the time this new content comes around. I really hope they address this going forward, this structure of free updates, this finish it later approach, because it's not working. We also saw the next 2 tracks that are going to be in the Booster Course Pass, only the next 2. For some reason. We're getting Merry Mountain from Mario Kart Tour. I don't play Tour, so I haven't played on it yet, but the track looks interesting. And we're getting Peach Gardens from the DS game, which is great. I really love that track, and as someone who grew up playing the Wii and DS entries, I really like whenever they bring those tracks back. I mean, Waluigi Stadium and Mushroom Gorge were brilliant additions in the last wave. I really hope they bring back Maple Tree Way and DK Summit. Those are the 2 main ones that I'm hoping for now. So then Mr. Miyamoto showed up, and I was very concerned because the last time Miyamoto hijacked a direct, he unleashed the ungodly horror that was Chris Pratt Mario upon the world. And that's what I thought this was going to be. I thought we were going to get a trailer for the Mario movie. But no, Miyamoto spared us for another couple of weeks at least. We only get a brief mention of the movie. He says it's progressing well. He then talks about the parks for a bit, before saying, I want to talk about Pikmin. And then he proceeds to talk about Pikmin Bloom, the mobile game that's been out for months already, for what feels like 12 years. Finally, after an absolutely agonizing wait, Miyamoto confirms Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 is real. It is a game that exists that we will be able to play next year. That is insane. On one hand, I'm just really happy because I love Pikmin 3, and I've been looking forward to the next entry since I've played that game. But the main reason I'm so happy about the Pikmin 4 announcement is just how happy it's been making everyone else. Like, this was the announcement of the Direct. I've already seen Arlo and Shay Frillis have posted their reactions, and just seeing how genuinely happy this announcement has made so many people is just really, really heartwarming. Because Pikmin it's a niche IP. There was, 9 years between the release of 2 and 3. It's almost 10 years since Pikmin 3 initially came out. And with a modest per-selling series, you never know that there's going to be a next game. Every game could be the last entry. So just for Miyamoto to come out and say, the game exists, you'll be able to play it, that's enough. We didn't even need to see gameplay or anything like that. It was just enough to hear, Pikmin 4 is real. And that's great. And it's especially funny because the interview that Miyamoto gave to Eurogamer in 2015, where he said that the game was almost finished. The game has almost ascended to this mythical status with people speculating on what the hell happened with it. Why has it taken 8 years from that point to get to now? Uh, but the important thing is that we're here. Pikmin 4 is real, and that's really cool. The one snippet of information we did get is that the camera seems to be positioned at the Pikmin's point of view now, rather than an over the top perspective. That's going to be interesting. I wonder if it's going to be optional or whether that's just how you're going to have to play the whole game. Either way, interesting shift for the series. I just can't wait to play it. It's Pikmin 4. It's real. The Pikmin 4 is real. Just as an aside, I hope every direct from this point on has a section where Miyamoto shows up and acts as a complete agent of chaos for 5 minutes. The September direct last year, where he announced the Mario movie cast, is the single funniest thing to ever come out of Nintendo. And the next time he showed up was to drop the absolute bombshell that was Pikmin 4, but not before teasing fans by talking about a mobile game that had come out a year prior for 2 minutes without talking about any new content for it, just that it exists. Like, who does that? Miyamoto, why are you like this? So following that absolute bombshell, we then got a couple of quick-fire announcements. We saw some more footage of Bayonetta 3. Looks great. Looking forward to playing that. Haven't played the first two yet. I'll probably get those first, but the series looks interesting and I'm looking forward to getting into them. We got Resident Evil Cloud versions. Hooray. I will definitely be able to run that. Raiden Code, Crisis Core remake, Radiant Silvergun, all interesting. Tales of Symphonia remake. Heard good things about the original, so I might give that a go. Okay, so this bit was weird. They then did a quickfire montage where they showed off the little announcements at the end, and without any kind of transition, they just immediately cut into a trailer for Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. This completely blindsided me, but I cannot wait to play this. Return to Dreamland is one of my favorite Kirby games. I think it's my first Kirby game. It's the one that's responsible for getting me into this series. And it's great that so many people will be able to play this now for the first time. The visuals are completely redone. I love the new art style. I think it was Antdude was saying that the outlines on the characters are reminiscent of the art that leaked about the cancelled Kirby game that was going to be on the GameCube that eventually got reworked into Return to Dreamland. So it isn't just a simple upres, it looks like a new game. Especially because they changed DDD's design again and he doesn't have a neck anymore. Why they keep changing DDD's design, I have no fucking idea. But go off, I guess. And also there's new copy abilities. There's a mech, reminiscent very much of Planet Robobot. And we don't have long to wait about this one either, because it's coming out in February. And then we got our one more thing, which was a teaser trailer, another teaser trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, or as I can now call it, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We finally got a name, and we also finally got a release date. It's coming out on May 12th, which is still a while to wait, but enough stuff got announced in this direct that will most certainly hold me over until then. It is weird though that they didn't do the big blowout of the game, go into its mechanics. It was another very teasery trailer with only a couple of seconds of footage, really. On one hand, it's frustrating because it was over a year since we last got footage of the game, and that was also a very teasery trailer. On the other hand, it's Breath of the Wild 2, so I'm gonna buy it regardless of what they show. And one of the big things about Breath of the Wild, about experiencing it for the first time, is the discovery of it all. So if they are purposefully being very cryptic and vague about the marketing and continue to do so, it's gonna make us discover more for ourselves whenever the game comes out, which is a fun prospect. I do think it's likely though we'll probably get a dedicated direct to this in the new year at some point. But until then, I'm looking forward to watching the videos of people endlessly dissecting this 30 seconds of footage and seeing what they can decipher from it. There wasn't too much I could glean from it myself, just that I really love the verticality of it, how the sky is implemented into the current map, and just being able to see the changes that have been made from the map in that original game. So yeah, it's Breath of the Wild 2. Like, it's going to be a masterpiece. So all in all, I thought this was a really good direct. I saw a lot of people calling it mid online, and as far as the presentation goes, I could understand that because it was arguably quite poorly paced. There was a lot of games that were very similar that blended into one another. So if that impacted your enjoyment, I can understand it. But the sheer quality of the announcements that we got really carried it for me. Uh, Getting finally details about Tears of the Kingdom, just that name and release date's great. Pikmin 4 is just a bombshell announcement, and I would have been happy with just Pikmin 4 alone. But on top of that, we also got Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom, a new Fire Emblem, and also a remake of one of my favorite Kirby games, one of my favorite Wii games. It's such a good game, Return to Dreamland. Can't wait to replay it. And there wasn't too much in terms of third party showing. Big one was Octopath Traveler 2. But then again, a lot of the third party stuff was shown in the partner showcase over the summer. And we've got all that stuff coming out now in the rest of the year. We only have a month to wait for Persona 5 Royal to come out. So overall, the Switch slate now looks very good. Um, Again, I fear for my wallet, but there's a lot of really cool stuff on the horizon that I can't wait to play. And overall, I think this is one of the best directs we've got in a while.